and welcome to my series, Comprehending Consciousness, where I am talking and discussing all types of phrases and terms commonly used in the conscious community or the New Age or woo-woo kind of world. I'm hoping to give some quick informational videos for people who are newly interested in this kind of stuff and maybe looking for some little tidbits to get started with. And so this episode is going to be dedicated to being asleep. So episode 1 is waking up, right? And we talk about what it means to be waking up. But it leaves room for that wondering of what are we waking up from or to, right? And what were we asleep within before? And so as I've noted before in, previous episodes, these kinds of terms are topics to me, and they're iceberg terms. And when I use that kind of description, I'm really trying to create a visual for everybody so that we can really see what I'm talking about here with the terms. Because like the iceberg, right, only that little tip is visible above the water surface, but there is a massive body of ice underneath, right, just waiting underneath there. And so these videos and these terms that I'm touching on, basically, I'm just giving you a tour of, the tip of the iceberg here. And it's up to you to decide if you like the geography that I'm explaining, or if you see something different on there, which is totally acceptable. It's also your responsibility to, put your gear on and dive off the side and go check out underneath. I'm trying to really encourage. Oh, this is not friendly. Sorry. Oh, the beauty of hair, right? Can't live with it, can't live without it. So, when we're saying asleep, there are levels to this too, and I just want to give a quick idea of what asleep means, because you can be awake to certain things, asleep to others. You can be there's a spectrum, right? And awake and asleep are kind of filters to say, am I honestly viewing reality the best to my capability? Am I seeking to see things for what they are and for a true understanding and a true working with them? Or am I hiding things from myself or from others? Am I working instead to preserve the past or a kind of preconceived idea, structuring, right? You're trying to keep it so you can't take new things in that could disrupt that structure that you've built, because you are preserving it. It's important to you. You're relying on it for some reason, or you love it, or it's comfortable. And so that is why we call it asleep, right? Because it's just like you're choosing to close your eyes, to blindfold yourself to something, someone, a reality. And like I said, this is a spectrum of things. And so these filters can be placed on your internal life, on your direct life around your family, how you interact with society, your job, yourself, and also on the main stage of the world, the exterior collective kind of world that's taking place. We have many, many ways of being asleep and awake on all of those stages. And so like I've mentioned before, and like I will always say, our best start is that within our inner stage, because we have complete control over only that one inner plane. And it's only from your inner place, right, that you can ever even begin to affect your own personal world. You have to first make the choices inside yourself. And so waking up within yourself is that first step, and it's that recognition, like I said, of sovereignty, of being a sovereign person, of thinking for yourself, being able to assess and critically work through information for your own best good with your own judgment at heart, right? So when we are deeming people asleep or using that term to describe others or a collective of people, what we're really pointing at, or we should be, trying to highlight here, is whatever they're hiding from, is that truth that they're ignoring or that shadow that they're creating. And so I want to just quickly say here some key points that could be helpful in recognizing maybe if you are asleep on the spectrum in some places. And I'm giving these guidances and these working points not as someone who's above it, but just, as a peer who is working in the realm as well, right? It's so important to remember, with awakening to your own sovereignty and becoming and accepting that you are your own judge, jury, defendant, and plaintiff, all wrapped in one being here, that that comfortability in allowing all others to play their own role in their own world as that as well. And accepting, right, that we are not a judge of any other. We are not a jury to anyone. No one is our peer, right? We are our own peer. No one can be our peer because no one is walking in your vessel telling your story every day, right? No one knows the full length and scope of your experience here except you. When we accept that and embody that and love it, appreciate it, be grateful for it, right? Then you really want to share that experience and that love with all other beings. You want them to have that for themselves, right? That's why when we wake up, it can be so difficult to see those who are asleep. And there's a double back, there's orientation to this as well. And I don't want to get too deep into that because I'm almost pushing 10 minutes and I like to keep these videos, these episodes, under 15, hopefully. But you have to remember, with waking up and with being a sovereign being, is making the choice points between, am I positively or negatively aligned, right? Am I choosing to live my life and my goal path as service to others, and the collective, source, God, a positive outward service, or is it an inward service to self that drives you? And is it self-preservation that is ruling your energetic body? Because these orientations, they really set your scope for your parameter of the way that your life possibilities are going to grow in, right? The way that all the choice points are going to follow suit is the shading you wear your glasses to view the world in, right? And waking up to those two possibilities, that's a huge step in waking up. But when people are asleep, they can't even grasp that working, really. Mostly people who are asleep just take it for what it is. If you tell them, they believe it. If you show them a picture of it, they incorporate that picture into their being, accept it, and almost make it their own memory as if they were there, witnessing it for themselves, the actuality of the picture. They then incorporate it into themselves, and it's their living reality. It is a truth because they've seen it. They were told by, someone with a higher knowledge. They are an authority. And that's a huge piece of being asleep, is servitude, the authority figure, the submission to the system, acknowledgement of those humans who are higher in power than you. When we bow down to what is greater than the self, as in the creator, infinite intelligence, the parameters of the universe, the great collective that unites us all with love, understanding, and equality in that kind of soul way, that is the direct opposite of what the system, the collective, governed, monarch, royalty, whatever, a human in placing down the structuring. That also, when you're waking up or you're still very much asleep to the slavery spectrum of the whole setup of the world, it can be really hard to see the difference. But if you are waking up, then I would highly suggest, looking at the difference between sovereignty and servitude, because knowing that you're your own judge, and you are your own judge because of your connection to source and your fractal piece of the creator, that's what gives you your power. That's what deems the crown on your own head. It changes the working, because you're not taking only one crown and putting it just on your head and telling all others that, you've got this crown on your head, what's best for them. It's a crown of infinite intelligence, which all of us can wear. Each of us do wear. And by putting your sovereign crown on like that, you are accepting and consenting to that truth, that honest working, that all people, all beings even, wear their own type of conscious sovereign crown. And it's not anything material or anything that could ever be taken away or removed or anything, except by that person, that one source. So when we're waking up, we're waking up to these ideas and these concepts and incorporating them into our knowledge body. And when we're asleep, we're refusing that. And so some people, they can wake up and, some of these things can be really scary or overwhelming, or cause a lot of triggering kind of things that make you want to be cognitively dissonant to it. And just like, okay, I see it, but I don't see it. I don't even want to know about that because it shakes my foundation just way too much. Can't even incorporate it, right? No, thank you. That putting your head back in the sand, so to speak, is literally choosing to go back to sleep. And so when you can understand that the New Age world, or ascension in the spiritual world that we're talking about, New Earth or 5D or whatever, waking up to that is choosing to not go back to sleep as often as you can. And when you notice that your eyeballs are fading, or you're glazing over something, or the darkness is creeping in, the shadows are coming and comfortably pushing you, in the pendulum swing is rocking you back to sleep, you're submitting to higher sway, a different thinking, you're giving up thinking for yourself, right? You're being put back to sleep. And so, especially, I really hope we can get to a place where it really isn't such a negative, almost insult to call somebody asleep. And I totally get it, especially when we're first waking up, and it can be so frustrating, different levels and different alignments, because some of us, like I said, we're waking up, but we're waking up in a negative orientation. And so we're very super critical, very aggressive of those who are still asleep. We really want to battle them, change them, wake them, shake them, and wake them. We all go through that phase. Well, most of us do. I can't speak for everyone, but I went through that phase, and so many people that wake up go through this aggravating phase where we feel it's our duty to serve the masses and wake them up. And that is another inversion trick. That is a rocking trying to get you eventually. It's a slow rock. It's but it is a negatively oriented alignment to be constricting and trying to force the sleepers awake. our best and only place and role for solutions once we're awakened is to just operate in our awakened world, to build out there, to show by doing, to be that dedicated, loyal, long-standing, lasting example that stands the test of lies and time and manipulations, that stands strong, to be the beacon, the lighthouse. That's why, so many, we call them light workers and lighthouses, and it's just a beautiful vision to understand and encompass and embody and relax into. It's not a rush. It's not a race. Everyone wakes up at their own pace and must awaken only when they are ready. It's not our responsibilities to push others to awaken, and there's no way to tell the seeds that are sprouting inside others when to do it or why or how. It's their right in their life's role to grow as they will or to not. It's not our place to ever look at those who are stagnant in choice or choosing negative, even to force them into different choices, because they're their own exploration with source into manyness, into all possibilities. And who are we or any of us if you are choosing this, vision of oneness and one infinite creator, right? Who are we to put parameters on how far a negative can grow or how deep shadow goes, right? Source knows best at the end of the day. And if you can settle into that working and accept that orientation happens on its own, of its own accord and of its ownness, it's, it has nothing to do with you. It has no interaction with you. That's a second level of waking up, right? And so it's just like I've said at the beginning, there's levels to it, and no one's ever fully awake. It's not like somebody awakens and all of a sudden all sudden truths are there and it's all light and that's it. It's an eternal working, and it's an ever fluxing focus that we are attempting to grasp and work within, and yeah. So if you are feeling that negative kind of aggression towards those who are asleep, really use that as motivation to look inside yourself, because that's your shadow screaming out. You've got some work to do in there, and it's reflecting in your external world. So go deeper and check out what you're hiding from or what you're still asleep from, or empower your light work and do things for your soul that feels great, and get your real, embody your 5D higher self and do those things that empower you, because you never think you're done. So if you if you can't feel the pull to sleeping, and if you can't still resonate a bit with those who are asleep, right? If you can't even tap into empathy for those who are asleep in some kind of way, then you're really blockading your own shadow and your own sleepness, and you're in a dream. You are asleep right now. At whatever scope, that level, you're totally snoozing. And hey, you know what? Like I said, we all do, and we all are. There's levels to this game. But yeah, I have talked over 15, and now I'm into 20. So thank you so much for joining me again for episode 4, and for being asleep. I hope this has awakened you to at least some mirage of a spectrum here of what we are talking about or trying to poke at when we're saying asleep. And I hope we can also, like I said, work to open this perspective and bring in unconditional love into the kind of divide we kind of have between awoke and asleep people. So thank you so much again, and I hope that you'll join me for episode 5, where I'm going to dig into the 3D matrix, or where those asleep people are residing, what that kind of world means, and a little bit about how it's functioning and its purpose. So I hope you'll join me for the next one. Thank you again so much. And I hope you have a beautiful day or evening wherever in the world you are. Thanks.